And shortly before 10:30 in the morning on December 14, 2024, a solitary Ukrainian Lyuty drone was tearing through the airspace above the Sea of Azov, homing in on a Russian asset of immense strategic value. Positioned on the tarmac at Yeysk Airbase, roughly 150 kilometers away, sat a Russian Ilyushin EL-38N. This was far more than a standard transport or patrol aircraft. It represented the sole remaining platform in the entire Black Sea theater, capable of tracking modern NATO submarines. Intelligence gathered from satellite imagery just 6 hours prior revealed ground crews busily stripping the engine covers, signaling that the aircraft would be fully operational by early afternoon. This window represented the only opportunity to neutralize the target on the ground before it could take to the skies and become an airborne problem that Ukrainian forces could not solve. The countdown had already begun. As the Lyuty crossed the coastline and dropped to an altitude of 50 meters above the churning gray waters, it faced nearly 300 kilometers of open sea. Moving at speeds exceeding 200 kilometers per hour, the transit would require over an hour of absolute electronic silence. The drone's composite fuselage was engineered to diffuse radar energy rather than reflect it, acting like a stealthy shadow rather than a beacon. Flying at such a low altitude, the curvature of the Earth became the drone's greatest ally. While radar waves travel in straight lines, the planet's surface curves away, creating a blind spot known as the radar horizon. By hugging the waves, the drone remained effectively invisible to every Russian search radar stationed within 200 kilometers. For that hour over the water, the aircraft essentially vanished from the known world. However, the mission profile shifted dramatically once the drone made landfall east of Primorsko-Akhtarsk, 70 kilometers from its destination. The phase of invisibility ended the moment it crossed the shoreline, entering a zone where the Russian defense network had prepared a specific countermeasure. Attached to a cellular tower near the village of Stut-Tarovskaya was a device masquerading as standard telecom hardware. A gray, nondescript cylinder, roughly the dimensions of an industrial pipe, housed a cluster of omnidirectional microphones and a processor running advanced acoustic classification software. This system is Russia's solution to the problem of low-flying radar evaders. You might not be able to see them on a screen, but you can certainly hear them coming. The Lyuty is powered by a turbojet engine that prioritizes thrust over stealth. At a distance of 100 meters, the engine emits a noise level comparable to a chainsaw or a heavy motorcycle accelerating. Compressor blades generate a high-frequency whine, while the combustion chamber produces a deep, resonant rumble. In the frigid, dense air of a Russian winter, these sound waves propagate with exceptional efficiency, traveling much farther than they would in the heat of summer. The sensor picked up the initial acoustic signature with a signal strength that was faint but distinct against the quiet rural backdrop. Russian engineers had tuned these microphones to detect the specific auditory footprint of a drone engine from kilometers away. The onboard algorithm immediately processed the sound, dissecting it into individual frequencies to analyze the spectral fingerprint. It looked for the telltale harmonic ratios that distinguish a turbine engine from a piston engine or a passing truck. The classification result was generated in just over a second, identifying the sound as a hostile unmanned aerial vehicle with high confidence on a specific compass bearing. A single microphone can only provide a direction, not a precise location. It is akin to hearing a shout in the dark. You know where to look, but not how far away the source is. To solve this, Russia has established a chain of over 200 such sensors along the coast, spaced a few kilometers apart, to create a dense acoustic net. Within moments, 3 additional sensors reported contact on varying bearings. The central network fused these lines of bearing, using triangulation to pinpoint the source where the lines intersected. A track materialized on regional defense screens, placing the hostile drone within a 50-meter radius and updating its position constantly. The Lyuty continued its flight path, oblivious to the fact that it had been detected. It carried no systems to alert it to acoustic surveillance, as such technology is not standard for this class of aircraft. Its flight computer simply maintained its course, locked onto its target coordinates, while Russian operators watched its progress like air traffic controllers guiding a plane to a landing. While the acoustic network could track the intruder, it lacked the ability to destroy it. That task fell to the kinetic defense systems. 5 minutes after the initial detection, the tracking data was relayed to a Tor M2 missile battery stationed 18 kilometers to the southeast. The Tor M2 is a formidable short-range defense system, boasting 8 ready-to-fire missiles and a radar capable of tracking dozens of targets at once. Theoretically, the Lyuty should have been destroyed immediately. The battery commander received the coordinates and slewed his engagement radar toward the drone's predicted location, expecting to see a clear blip. Instead, his scope remained empty. The issue was purely geometric. The Tor's radar is designed to engage aircraft flying at higher altitudes. It requires the target to be at least a few degrees above the horizon to separate the signal from the ground clutter. Radar waves bouncing off the frozen Earth create a chaotic background noise that masks low-flying objects. At a range of 18 kilometers, a drone flying at 30 meters altitude sits at an elevation angle that is barely a fraction of a degree above the horizon. To the radar, the drone was indistinguishable from the hills and trees behind it. The commander realized that for his system to acquire a lock, the target would need to come much closer, within barely a kilometer or two, to generate a sufficient angle. Moving at high speed, the Lyuty would cross that narrow engagement window in less than half a minute. However, the drone was not flying directly toward the battery. It was cutting across the landscape on a tangential path. The acoustic track showed the target closing distance, but never entering the lethal envelope where the radar could see it. The drone passed well to the north, effectively slipping underneath the radar coverage through a combination of terrain masking and geometric limitations. The battery commander could only watch the digital track move away, his missiles useless against a target he could not see electronically. 47 kilometers remained to the target. The Lyuty had defeated the acoustic network by using the terrain and the missile battery by exploiting physics. But another threat had been hunting it since launch. 40 kilometers to the west, an interceptor was already in the air. A modified Geran 2 drone had launched minutes after the initial alert, part of a standing patrol designed to counter Ukrainian launches. This was a Frankenstein weapon, a standard one-way attack drone that Russian engineers had jury-rigged into an air defense platform. Mounted atop its fuselage was a launcher tube containing a portable surface-to-air missile, held in place by custom brackets. It was a crude improvisation, effectively turning a slow, loitering munition into a hunter-killer. The added weight of the missile system drastically reduced the drone's flight time, leaving it with limited fuel to find a target hiding in a vast acoustic uncertainty zone. The interceptor drone utilized a thermal seeking system that relied entirely on contrast. To find a target, it needed to see a hot object against a cold background. Against a clear sky, the heat of a jet exhaust stands out starkly. However, looking down at the ground presents a much more difficult challenge. As the Lyuty pulled up to clear a ridgeline, it exposed its hot exhaust against the sky for a few fleeting seconds. The interceptor's camera immediately picked up the bright thermal spike. The operator wasted no time, sending a sequence of commands through the relay network. Uncover the seeker, align the airframe, and fire. The missile roared off the rail, accelerating to supersonic speeds in an instant. It employed a guidance method known as proportional navigation, where the missile calculates the intercept point ahead of the target rather than simply chasing it from behind. This makes the projectile extremely hard to shake. However, the Lyuty had unwittingly initiated a terrain masking maneuver programmed into its flight path. Just as the missile locked on, the drone dove over the ridge into a deep stream bed, breaking the line of sight and putting a wall of earth between itself and the threat. The missile, still tracking the last known trajectory, dove into the ground, its fuse triggering on a piece of scrap metal in the frozen earth rather than the drone. The explosion kicked up dirt and ice, but the Lyuty flew on, unscathed. Having survived the interceptor by sheer luck and pre-programming, the drone entered the final phase of its mission. It now had to identify a specific aircraft on a crowded airfield. The challenge was distinguishing the valuable IL-38N from the standard, less critical variants parked nearby. From the air, the two aircraft looked nearly identical. Same four engines, same wing structure, same gray paint. The defining feature of the high-value target is a specialized electronic intelligence pod mounted on a strut above the cockpit, a boxy structure housing sensitive receivers. The drone's onboard AI had been trained on thousands of images to recognize this specific feature. It analyzed the video feed in real time. As the drone began its terminal dive, the AI locked onto the target aircraft with high confidence. The AI confirmed the target identity one last time as the range closed to 0. The radar altimeter measured the height above the aircraft's fuselage, preparing to trigger the warhead at the precise optimal distance. The warhead was a specialized airburst munition, designed not to blast a hole in the ground, but to spray a cone of destruction. Packed with thousands of steel cubes, the explosive charge was shaped to focus the blast energy downward. At a height of roughly 6 meters above the aircraft, the fuse triggered. The detonation unleashed a torrent of high-velocity shrapnel that shredded the aluminum skin of the aircraft like paper. The cloud of steel tore through the electronic intelligence pod, obliterating the sensitive antennas and processors inside. It continued downward, severing hydraulic lines and rupturing the fuel tanks in the wing root. The aircraft did not vanish in a fireball, but it was effectively neutralized. The complex, irreplaceable electronic brain that allowed it to hunt submarines was turned into scrap metal in the blink of an eye. The economic exchange was staggering. A drone costing roughly the price of a mid-range family car had just permanently disabled a surveillance aircraft worth millions, one that the Russian industrial base could no longer replace. The production lines for the IL-38 had shut down decades ago, and the proprietary electronics inside the pod were relics of a bygone era that could not simply be reordered. In a matter of seconds, an irreplaceable strategic capability had been erased from the board by a cheap, disposable machine. As the drone rolled into its terminal dive, the onboard optical correlator was running thousands of comparisons per second, matching the real-time video feed against the stored target library. The neural network had positively identified the silhouette of the IL-38N, locking onto the distinct geometry of the electronic warfare pod with high confidence. But reality rarely matches the simulation. The navigation sensors, scanning the approach vector via optical flow, detected a physical anomaly that the 18-hour-old satellite maps had missed. A diesel ground power unit with a heavy steel exhaust stack was positioned directly in the flight path, creating a collision risk that would trigger the warhead prematurely on the ground equipment rather than the aircraft. The flight computer's collision avoidance logic executed a reflex maneuver faster than any human pilot could process. It commanded a sharp deflection of the ailerons, banking the airframe to the right and steepening the angle of attack to shave meters off the altitude. This high-G correction meant the impact point would drift from the center of the fuselage to the wing root, a calculated compromise to ensure the drone cleared the obstacle. As the range collapsed to zero, the radar altimeter began pinging the aircraft's skin, measuring the final remaining meters to the ideal detonation height. The payload concealed within the composite nose cone was not merely a block of high explosives designed to create a generic shockwave. It was a masterpiece of lethal geometry engineered specifically for the destruction of soft, high-value targets. This was a specialized airburst munition, developed to solve the complex engineering problem of neutralizing delicate electronics that are protected by a metal airframe without needing a direct physical impact. The warhead architecture featured a central high-explosive core encased in a fragmentation matrix containing thousands of preformed steel cubes, each one a kinetic penetrator waiting for release. Unlike a standard general-purpose bomb that wastes its energy expanding in a sphere, this device utilized a shaped charge design to focus the blast energy entirely downward. It created a dense, conical shotgun effect that directed nearly all of its lethal mass into a footprint the size of a tennis court, ensuring that nothing within the kill zone could escape the saturation. At a height of exactly 6 meters above the target's fuselage, the laser proximity fuse closed the firing circuit. The resulting detonation accelerated the steel cubes to hypersonic velocities in a fraction of a millisecond, transforming them into a focused cloud of metal that struck the aircraft's aluminum skin with the kinetic energy of a meteor shower. The shrapnel tore through the thin alloy sheeting of the fuselage as if it were wet cardboard, meeting almost no resistance before penetrating the critical internal volumes. Inside the electronic intelligence pod, the swarm of steel instantly shredded the delicate waveguides, multi-layer circuit boards, and liquid cooling systems that constituted the aircraft's sensory system. The kinetic wave continued downward through the airframe, severing high-pressure hydraulic lines and turning the fuel tanks located in the wing root into a colander. The aircraft did not vanish in a Hollywood-style fireball, but it was effectively euthanized on the tarmac. The complex, irreplaceable electronic brain that gave it the power to hunt submarines was reduced to a pile of useless silicon and copper in less time than it takes to blink. The financial and strategic calculus of this strike reveals the terrifying new math of modern asymmetric warfare. A drone that costs roughly the same amount as a mid-range family sedan had just permanently removed a strategic asset worth tens of millions of dollars from the Russian order of battle. However, the dollar figure is dangerously misleading because it implies that the aircraft can be replaced if the government simply spends enough money. It cannot. The production lines for the Ilyushin YL-38 airframe shut down before the Soviet Union collapsed, and the proprietary electronics inside the Novella pod are relics of a specialized industrial base that no longer exists in the Russian Federation. There is no factory to call for a replacement motherboard, and the engineers who designed these systems have long since retired or passed away. The supply chain is effectively dead. In a matter of seconds, an irreplaceable strategic capability, the ability to sanitize the Black Sea of NATO submarines, had been erased from the board by a cheap, disposable machine built from consumer-grade components. This is the new economy of attrition, where a garage-built robot can bankrupt a superpower's legacy fleet by destroying history that cannot be rebuilt.